Let's try again. Let's have a second chance. Let's maybe give a thought to a new voyage, a new way to exist in a state of compassion and vulnerability. Let's create a space where we draw strength from being open. A place where the walls that we've built around ourselves no longer need to be reinforced. They can stand as they are. And let's open the door and give access to those who want to know what's on the other side. The other side of being authentic. I wanted to know, what does it really truly mean to be authentic? Authentically yourself. Show up for yourself as who you were meant to be. What does that look like? It looks kind of like how confused people would describe laziness. You could not be lazy in this life. You can only rest. When you do not feel called to move, you should not be. We were born with intuition and instincts. That was our birthright. All animals have it to some degree. Humans are so disconnected from their inner voice, their gut feelings, that they think a rumble in their stomach only signifies needing to eat. Sometimes it's not about the food that we're eating, but the content we consume. To be more intentional with the content we consume is how we feed our mind. What is the input? The input determines your output. A lot of people want to control the type of output others can produce, but this is not something that we should concern ourselves with. We cannot try and control the output of others. We can only control our own output. And realizing that we have different strengths, and that is reflected in what we are capable of doing. Not everybody is capable of Not everyone's capable of speaking freely, but this can be cultivated if we decide we would enjoy speaking more freely. We have to listen to those who speak freely often. This is why I have loved to listen to lectures from Alan Watts and Esther Hicks and just podcasts, honestly, about consciousness, like Jay Shetty. Because I feel like the best way to speak freely is to listen to those with a free mind, people who have expanded their awareness beyond the norm, for lack of a better word. I was having a conversation the other day about the standards and norms that we have in our society. And the argument that was presented to me was that there's a baseline norm for all people, and outliers would be people with psychological disorders or something that can be measured and explained. And my outlook or argument was that there's different norms depending on societal factors such as skin color, gender, region. This conversation was very insightful, I think, and I think we also both learned a lot from each other, and both of our points were understandable. It's so different to, it's interesting how norms are always changing. The norm now is different than the norm for our parents. Even though we're both existing in the same time, we have different norms because just our experiences are different. So if everybody has a different experience, how can we collectively decide what is the norm? Based on the average experience? Well, the average experience of who? If it's the average experience within a certain demographic, it might not be understood how a regular experience for one type of person is not really an everyday experience or occurrence for a different kind of person. And we all can agree on this, but if so, it's like a paradox. If we can agree that there's different norms depending on who you are, then having a baseline norm for all human beings seems somewhat counterintuitive. But of course, we know that we can hold these two ideas at the same time, and they can both be true, even if they seem to be paradoxical. I just love how with every plane that passes by, it's a reminder that the world is constantly moving, and there's a constant state of travel going on. People are going from all over the world, and it makes me think about time travel, like when we travel from one time zone to the other. That is a change in time, yet we don't really claim this as the event of changing dimensions or time realities. It's more like we view it as a change in space. Like we see it as just traveling through space rather than traveling through time. But I think it's both. I also have been thinking about the symbolism of colors and how I've been seeing a lot of red lately. I just feel like red is symbolizing the root or the foundation of our being. It's like the base or the beginning. And I feel like that's telling me that my foundation is being solidified and I'm soon going to a next level. It's so funny how there's endless levels to this game. We're all trying to level up in some capacity, whether that's spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally. Well, actually, I don't think all of us are doing that intentionally, but for someone like me, I try and be very intentional with my choices. I'm not always intentional, of course. Can't always be any of anything. But I know I've cultivated a good practice and it's only getting better from here. So I know that my intentionality is going to spark a sense of I want to say redemption, but I'm trying to think what I'm redeeming myself from. Redeeming myself from maybe unconscious bias. Redeeming myself from blissful ignorance. You know, I've been able to access bliss consciously. It's so easy in the sun's presence, or that's like really when it feels the most natural to tap in. I'm just so grateful that I decided to move to the sunshine state. This has literally changed my life, and I'm so appreciative of how sunny life has gotten since. It's almost like I have enough to share. I really didn't have enough to share in my past. It's like I had to hold on to every last drop for myself because I was feeling depleted. It's like when you share, when you don't have enough, it feels like you're draining yourself. I don't want to feel drained anymore. I want to feel replenished. I want to feel like I'm adding, not depleting. It's so funny. The different views and perspectives used to haunt me. I used to think about how I was being perceived a lot. I've always thought that I could see myself through other people's eyes for a reason. Like, the reason was to adjust how I was showing up so that I could be perceived in a greater light. But then I realized my light is great, regardless of how I'm perceived in that moment. And I no longer desire to change the perception of others. I just desire to show up as I am and allow that to resonate with who it resonates with and repel those who do not understand and don't want to understand. Those who easily write off differences as crazy and abnormal and freakish and weird. I mean, all those things are very true. I am very insane, unique, eccentric. But it's all about the connotation behind the words. That's the energy that's felt. Now I've gotten real good at feeling people out. And I rarely speak on it either. I just take note. And then I act accordingly. And that's a blessing. It's a blessing to have discernment on this level. And I had to cultivate it, for sure. And I couldn't have done it without the Most High. So thank you to the source energy within me that led the way. I feel so blessed. Thank you, God.